Hello everybody, it's True Sustainability. Again, I am Brian. I am here to show you guys how to be a little bit more sustainable and make your own fish food. This is really important for us here at True Sustainability. We want to make every effort that we can to try to make as little as impact as possible and consume less products. So let me just take you through the ingredients first, and then we'll get going actually making this fish food. So I went ahead and gathered up all the ingredients here. So the first ingredient here, as you can see, are some leaves and some flowers that fell off of my neighbor's tree. It is, I believe, a mesquite tree, if I know correctly, and it had a lot of these beautiful leaves. They smell like popcorn, and the fish absolutely love these flowers. So they're going to be packed with nutrition. They've had a chance to dry out, and so that's what you're going to want, is something that's dry, not wet. And then over here we have some roots that came off of one of the plants. Well, actually a couple of the plants that I planted out and put into the pond, and there was too many roots on the containers that they first came in, and I needed to put some substrate and not soil material. So I went ahead and cut off these roots, and I use these kind of as a filler. The fish, they don't really enjoy these too much, but they have a lot of nutrients. The bigger fish in the bigger pond, they do enjoy these more and eat these more than the tilapia. And then over here, this is what I really am proud of here. So I went ahead and grew some Okinawa sweet potato, and these are the leaves off of there that I went ahead and dried in the sun. These are actually packed full of vitamins, minerals, and they also have a good source of protein. It's actually been proven that this is a good natural source of food for the tilapia fish. It's been done all over the world, and so it's special that we are able to do this. So I just cut off the leaves, and if there is any dry leaves, ones that aren't doing very well, then I just pluck those off, and they're already ready to go for the fish food. And then we have over here, these are the containers that are left over that I purchased, and they have a couple of different things here. So one is the bloodworm, and that is actually 40% protein. It shows you it has crude fat, which is 3%, crude fiber, which is 5%, and the moisture content is about 7%. This is one that the fish absolutely love. It's supposed to be a treat, but I go ahead and mix it into my food because I believe in natural things. So these are bugs. And let's go over here to the brine shrimp. So brine shrimp is a popular item as well. You can also grow your own live shrimp, brine shrimp, and do a tank of those, but they are in salt water, and they can be also fed to freshwater fish. So the nutritional content on this is that the crude protein is 48%, crude fat is 6%, the crude fiber is going to be 2.5, and then it's also 7%. So these together were $20. So it's a bit expensive for how big the container is, but they do last for a while, and especially if it's mixed into food. So at first I went ahead and put those into the ingredients, but now I just use them as containers for my fish food. So if you want to come over here, we have the mealworms. So this is actually a better deal. So this cost $40 at Tractor Supply, and the really special thing about mealworms is that they are packed with protein. So they have the highest level of protein, per bug than the other bloodworms and the brine shrimp. So it's one of those cool things. So it's got 50% protein. It's got 20% fat. It's got 10% fiber, and the moisture content is a little bit higher, which is fine. But these are completely dried out, and it's perfect because this is a 5-pound bag. It lasts forever, especially since I'm grinding these up and I'm mixing them in with these other ingredients. So we have, definitely a huge sustainability effort that's going to go forever. I'm only using a couple of handfuls of these per mix. So let's get some ingredients together and I'll show you kind of what I do here. But just as a side note with the bugs, I do not like to buy the fish food from the store for a secondary reason. Right now, our oceans are having so much trouble, and the fish populations in the oceans are struggling everywhere. So right now, it's good for us to think, of more sustainability kind of efforts that can eliminate how much we rely on the ocean and how much we take away from the ocean. And there's a lot of these products out there that are fish food that are that they have the fish product in it. It's ground up fish, and that's what fish meal is. And that's the source of protein that they feed back to the fish. And the source of protein I'm using is bugs. And the reason why I'm going with bugs is because they're more sustainable. They don't take away from the ocean, and they are actually way more sustainable. People in the world right now are using bugs to feed human beings. So it's something that's kind of strange, but it's kind of getting more and more popular through the world to actually eat bugs. And they are packed with so many vitamins and minerals and protein, which is, what the building blocks of life are. So now let's go ahead and get into making this homemade fish food. The first thing about this is that it does not, these dried roots, they do not actually blend up very well in the blender, and they can bind the blender. So what I do first is I take the little pieces of this and I just cut them up. And if you guys are interested in these scissors, I mean, honestly, one of the best pair of scissors I've ever bought in my life. These are industrial scissors, and they don't ever go dull. The brand is WISS, and they're sold at Home Depot. I really love this product. I'm not sponsored by any means of any of these products, but I just I give a shout out to wherever I buy them from if I like the product. So this one is an amazing product. I've had it for years, and I've used it on a lot of different projects. But this cuts up the pieces very well, and you kind of just try not to cut yourself, obviously. But this, once it's together, it binds really well together. So it makes, even though they're little fine pieces that you're cutting up, it actually, when you grab it as a whole, it stays together. So I've cut this up enough. I don't want to add too much. I'm just going to do another little bit of this just to add to the mixture. Again, I don't want too much of this. And then the fun part about this is it literally just kind of breaks up on its own. So we'll get that all broken up, and these bigger pieces, we'll just go ahead and cut those a little bit before we throw them in the blender. And the blender itself is just a used Ninja blender that doesn't really work quite as well anymore. It has a broken piece here and some other melted spots and stuff. So, and it has a couple cracks, so you can't really use it for liquids or anything like that anymore. So it actually works perfectly for what purpose that we're doing it. So you can open up this lid and get things ready. And we'll open up the bag. What I do is I get the mealworms in there first so that we are sure to make them really small. Sometimes if you put them on the top, they actually, so here's 3 handfuls. I think that's good, and if I want to, I'll put a 4th handful to kind of give it a little bit more body. So I grab a handful, a really decent handful, and most of the ingredients is actually from the flour and from the leaves. So that's really what I'm putting the most of in here. And it will break down a lot, so depending on what you're putting in your container, like this container that's going to be filled all the way up, when I do this and fill up this entire blender, it's going to fill up this small container. So it does reduce down quite a bit. So you're going to add all your ingredients. And try to get it on up till the top. And then I'm gonna definitely add just another thing of mealworms and 1 more handful of the leaves. If I do have more, I have a 2nd container here that I need to fill up. So that's why I'm actually filling this up a little bit more than I normally do. So we shut that down, lock it, and then we turn on the power and blend it up. Turn that off for a second here, and we'll check the consistency. When it's nice and powdery, and when it is the correct consistency, it's going to be like a fine powder. So this is perfect. This is what we want to see. So if you have some harder ingredients like some roots and stuff that you want to add to it, I would suggest that you make them very small before you put them in the blender. And I also would recommend that you put them towards the top. Your easier to blend ingredients, put them down on the bottom because it will get all powdery. It won't bind up on itself. And then let's just see how much we have here, and I will go ahead and make another batch later if I need to. But this container is perfect because I can measure out what I need to, and that I don't waste anything. So all of the food goes into this container. This is pretty much full. I could probably get it a little bit more full in there, but that's fine. So this cap right here, this is how I measure how much that I give them a day. And I give them about a cap full. For the tilapia, I have 100 tilapia. They're still kind of small. And then I give a tiny bit more to my other fish that are a little larger, so that I can support their growth, especially the koi fish. They grow really rapidly, the koi fish, so they need a little bit more food. But this container will last me for over a week, and the fish love it. So when you're talking about sustainability efforts, this is a beautiful thing. It's practically free. cost me dollars. If you factor in the bugs, that's the only thing that I paid for, which I told you was $5. You saw how much I used, and it's not going to even make a dent in those bug, the bag. It's going to take a long time, probably months, to finish even what's left in the bag. So now I have some food, and I can go feed my fish with it. And you'll see in other videos, I will show that I'm feeding from the actual container, and that you can see them eat. So we'll have you look at that to show you that they will eat that food. And the beautiful thing here is that fish are omnivores. So they eat a little bit of meat and a little bit of vegetables, basically plant material, and they enjoy plant material the most. So when you add really fresh ingredients to whatever you're doing, and things that are packed with vitamins, and you make it the correct size and consistency, those fish are going to be really happy and they're going to eat it up. You can test different types of food. You don't have to do it exactly like I've done it here. You can test different organic material that you have specifically in your area that you know is safe for the fish, and you can give it a try. And your efforts always make a difference. So you are the change. You are sustainability. And if you like my channel, go ahead and subscribe, like my videos, and stay tuned for more content. Have a good day.